Okay, so once again, this is going to be the last section for the customers. Okay, everything else from here on out is going to be in regards to everything else, such as your employees. Okay, um, things such as the accountant's position. Okay, so that's the next 2 weeks. Okay, but for now, we learned the most important things is we learned how to set up. The company file. We looked at a group of vendors, which was our expenses, and then now this chunk right here, this whole week we learned nothing but customers. So in this chapter, you're going to be learning how to create an estimate, okay, and also how to do progress invoicing and how to be able to do purchase orders, okay, using the estimates, right? So for this chapter, right, we need to have the estimates portable file, okay, which I already have up, okay. So let's talk about what a sales order or what an estimate does, okay, because it's pretty straightforward, right? If your company allows to be able to accept some bids or offers or even quotes, this is very, very, very easy to do. Okay. Especially because let's take a look at this kind of company, right? We are a photography company. Okay. We do wedding photo shoots, we do branch openings, we do business things for like businesses, and also we do maybe some professional office kind of looking type of photos, right? We do it all, right? So in this case, right, it is very common that we will get a group of customers who are interested in looking for some kind of deal, looking for some kind of quote, right? Especially when you are shopping, right? You have a couple vendors in mind or a couple companies, right? And out of those companies, what you do is you ask them the standard questions. What do you offer? How much is it? Et cetera, right? You start building a quote, or you start building a what you want, and the quote is going to definitely determine whether the customer will choose you or not. Now, in this case, what a estimate does is, since you are building a potential order for a customer, the idea here is it's not going to be a guaranteed sale, because all they're doing is they're shopping, they're getting a quote from you, and if they are comparing your company with another company, right? You don't know what the other company wants, or you don't know what the other company what they're offering. So in this case, right, it's important to know that when you do create estimates, it isn't a guaranteed sale. So because it's not a guaranteed sale, then what's the purpose of having an estimate? Well, it's in case, let's say, once you've built you know, the item list that the customers want, okay? And it's, once you build it up, and let's say the customer does like your company over the other companies, then you can take that estimate and you can convert it into a potential sale. So that means it becomes a guaranteed sale. Now, for any time that you have collected information, you can always, use that to your advantage by contacting that customer and saying, hey, well, we have your quote here. Are you interested in this? If not, we can always do another project for you. It's also another means to get connected to a potential customer. Now, that doesn't mean you guarantee that you'll sell the items to them, because, again, they're just looking at you for just a quote. Okay, so when we actually do and make or create estimates in QuickBooks, they're going to be considered non-posting transactions because they're not guaranteed sales. So all it does is it says it keeps track of potential orders, but it does not affect any accounts in your chart of accounts. So it's not a guaranteed sale. So you create your estimates. That means you're not going to be, it's not going to affect the income, and it's not going to affect accounts receivable at all. It's just a non-posting transaction, meaning all it does is it's just keeping information or like some kind of record keeping, but it doesn't affect your accounts. It only affects your accounts when you talk down with that customer and they agree to your terms and they guarantee that sale. Then you convert that estimate into either a sales order or you actually invoice them right then and there. Okay. So then, of course, that is what an estimate is and what it's used for. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually take a look at an example of how to create an estimate. Right? So here, like I've mentioned before, I've already have the file opened. Okay, so here, now that we talked about what estimates are, let's go ahead and create an estimate. Now, how do you create an estimate? This is one of the things that you actually have to turn on. Because again, if you are a company that does not offer estimates, then you don't need to have it. Like if for example, a grocery store, right? You're not going to have some client or a customer call in to get a quote from you on your grocery store, right? No. It's a first come first serve kind of basis. So if you have it available, that's what you can tell them, saying, yes, I do have these items available, but are they ordering from you? Not really. The most that you could do is just put it out in front of the counter, but they're not looking into your grocery store to get a quote for something. So in that case, that is one of the reasons why you wouldn't have an estimate. Now, before I even talk about the estimates, let's talk about how I would turn it on. So you have to go to your edit preferences once again. All right. And then you're going to tap that sorry, I kind of have a brain fart right now. Right here, jobs and estimates. Okay. You're going to go to company, okay, file, and then here, this is where do you have estimates? And if you do, then that's why you have the estimate icon on your homepage. But if you say no, because it doesn't work for your type of company, then you can choose no. Okay, but because this is the estimates chapter, I am going to have it turned on. And we'll come back to this exact same one when we come back and talk about progress invoicing. Okay, so again, if it applies to your company, then you can go ahead and turn it on. If it doesn't, then you don't need to have it on. You can choose to take it off of your homepage if you think it's too much distraction or you just want to kind of clear up some space here. Then you can eliminate that off your homepage. Now again, if you have it on, that you're able to enter an estimate through the same 6 ways that you would for entering in an invoice or even entering in a sales receipt. They're all going to be similar ways. Okay, so in this case, I have one on the home page. You go to the customer's menu, you have it there. If you go to the customer center, right? Let's say you want to click on somebody, you can create an estimate there. Okay, so you create estimates. You can even, when you select them, you can be able to manage transactions and create estimates too, and as well as up here. So, and then the last one would be on the income tracker, right? So again, for all the ways that you're able to enter in any of the other following transactions, you'd be able to do the same for estimates. All right, so, but that's only if you turn on estimates. If you don't, then that eliminates from all the areas because you don't offer estimates. What's the point of having it appear if you don't need to use it? So in this case, there you go. I have my estimates here. So I can go ahead and click on that and it's going to look exactly identical to an invoice. But the only difference is it's not an actual guaranteed sale. Okay? So, and this is why when we create our estimates, it makes it that much more easier to convert it into an invoice because it just transfers the information over. And since the estimate looks exactly like an invoice, that's what a customer would want to see. All right. So let's take a look here. We are going to go for Garrison family. And they're going to be doing a family portrait. So John Garrison family. We're going to do this for the future for February 14th of 2025. And this will be your first invoice that you will do for 2025. Okay. And they belong to San Jose. So let's go ahead and build that custom estimate, okay? So right here, I already have, yes.
Lynn, would you click your Discover box up at the top so that opens up the screen? By the Discovery Hub, it has a thank you.
All right, so there you go. We got some estimates, okay? And so here, I just typed in GRA. So in this case, we already actually had Garrison already entered into the system. But once again, usually for your quotes, you wouldn't have them in your system. You would add them into your system. But in this case, this is a pre-made file. So they already did pretty much the work for you. So in this case, there you go. Garrison John. And they want to do a family portrait. All right, they belong to San Jose. Okay, now this is what I was talking about when you are toggling the date. This is for the future. So if I really wanted to, I can click on this calendar icon and I can just go keep clicking. A quicker way to do this is by, typing it in. So in this case, it's February 14, 2025, right? And then once I type that in, I then use the calendar icon to lock that date in. Okay, so there you go. So I typed it in, but what I did was I locked it in by clicking on the calendar. So that's an easy, quick way to be able to make sure that you don't have to sit there and keep pressing forward. You can simply just type it in, and then once you lock that number in, you can go ahead and use the calendar to secure that date. All right, another thing, this is a 2025-1. It will be my very first customer that I work with in 2025. Okay, and let's see what they want from the family Garrison photo family portrait. Okay, so here they are going to be requesting. They're going to be requesting. They're going to be requesting a couple of indoor and outdoor photo sessions. So in this case, they want 4 indoor photo sessions, 10 photo papers, and 2 retouching services. Okay? So, all right. So let's go ahead and do that. So we got indoor photo session. Okay, there you go. We got, and they want 4 hours. Okay. They want photo paper. Photo paper. They want 10 of those. And they also wanted some retouching services. Okay, so we do offer that, retouching services. And they wanted 2 of those. Okay. So they're going to get taxed at Santa Clara. Good. So this is us building our estimate. Now, again, you can also say, thank you for considering us, or hope you consider us, hope you, I don't know, whatever you want to put on the estimate, right? But in this case, we only have one message, and that's thank you for your business. Okay. Now, of course, your memo here is going to be 4 indoor photo sessions, retouching, and photo paper. Okay. So once everything looks good, the date looks good, we got the template. Now, in this case, right, this is also where we can choose to include a markup percentage. Now, when we talk about markup percentages and we actually print these estimates and print these invoices, what happens is we can also select whether we want to keep that estimate or whether we can or like hide the markup, or we can choose to display the markup. Okay, now on our template here, we already have a markup on the photo paper. Right now, that markup is 3%. Well, like I've mentioned before, right, because this is the future, I can choose to mark up my customers if I feel like it. Okay. So I'm gonna actually charge this family. I'm gonna charge them a 25% upcharge. Okay, for the photo papers. Okay. So again, remember, tab is your best friend. All right. Okay. And there you go. 25% markup. So that means it was $12. Now it's marked up to $15. Okay, so that gives them a total of $155 versus what it was before, $120. Okay, so I marked up that price because I could do so. All right, so of course this family Garrison family wouldn't know that I marked them up because they're looking for a quote from me. Okay? And these are my prices. All right? So there you go. That's what I can do for this template because you have it on your custom template. But in this case, most cases, you may have to customize it if you want to have that included. All right? So this one they already create for you for the estimates that you can have an option to mark up your prices. Okay? So there we go. Everything looks good. So then now what I can do is I can go ahead and save and close. All right. Okay, so then that's how you create an estimate. Okay. Now, how do I create, let's say the Garrison family, they said yes to this estimate, right? So you have a couple choices that you could do. Is you can either go through the estimates or you could actually go through you have to go through the estimates in order for you to be able to create the invoice, okay? Because it's much more easier if you go through it that way. That way you can make a connection. Now you can also go through the invoices as well, and if you type in Garrison family, it may flag you down saying that you have an estimate, okay? But the best way to do it is go through your estimate and then convert it into an invoice. Usually that one is the easiest way to do it, but you can go through the invoice and let's say you type in, so for example, I'll show you right now. So this is what you can do too. Because this is what they allow you to do, is that let's say I type in Garrison, right? If I say family, it will tag me saying, "Hey, you have an estimate on this. Do you want, is this what you're invoicing for? Is this following estimate?" So again, if you do have that, then you can go ahead and select it and it will pull all the information over, right? But like I've mentioned before, the best way to do it is to just identify what that estimate was. So I'm going to go look for the estimate. So you could choose estimates and click on the back button, and usually it should be it. So in this case, the Garrison family, right? And what I can do is at the very top of the window, you should be able to see create invoice right here. So if I go ahead and click on create invoice and I click OK, it's going to carry all the information over into the invoice and I don't have to do anything. Okay, so that's the easiest way to do it instead of having to type in Garrison Wedding or Garrison Family, right? And then having to select which estimate you are doing. But in this case, it would make it doesn't matter how you do it, you are able to do it, is what I'm trying to say. It just must be easier if you just take the estimate and convert it into an invoice directly from that. Okay, now notice this: when I carried all the information, you don't see this markup price. You just see it's marked as $15 per item when it originally was $12. Okay, so in this case, it hides the markup for you automatically in the invoice itself and says, well, our normal prices is $15. Okay, so that's what you can do here. And let's just say February 14th finally rolls around. But this time, when that did happen, right, we end up having to make some changes to this to the services that we provided, because maybe we did go through the 4 hours of photos session. Maybe we went through the 10 photo packages. But what happens if the person, so for example, right, the boss, okay, actually he's in charge of doing the retouching for the for all the customers, right? What if he acts? What if he act not accidentally? What if he actually decides to say, you know what, I got the retouching done in 1 hour, and he's gonna rightfully say, he's gonna rightfully say, all right, Garrison, I'm only gonna charge you for 1 hour because I completed in 1 hour. Okay, he's being honest with the customer instead of overcharging them. Okay, because in this case he wants to keep their service, so that's why he's offering this, but also doing the right thing by not overcharging his customers. So in this case, he said he got it done in 1 hour. So that's what you can do, is you can adjust the invoice accordingly to however you'd like at any given time. Okay, so once everything looks good, today's the day. Okay, and again, thank you for your business, but you have to make sure you update this if you write the quantity too. But in this case, they still got their retouching, and this time we're gonna invoice them for less because we only charged them for one retouching retouching service. So in this case, their invoice does definitely not match or the estimate does not match the invoice because we charged less. Or however, there you go, and that's what you can do. And I can go ahead and save and close. Okay, so that's how I can create an estimate, right? And by using the estimate, I can go ahead and, if the customer agrees, I can go ahead and convert it into an invoice right then and there with just a click of a button. All right, any questions there? Very easy and straightforward, and pretty much, again, if you know how to do one, you're able to do all of them. So in this case, since we've been practicing how to do invoices, entering bills, entering an estimate is the same thing as entering an invoice. The only difference is it's not a guaranteed sale. That's it, right? Okay, all right, no questions? All right, so next section in your book is going to be progress invoicing, okay? What is progress invoicing? Well, progress invoicing actually allows you to take an estimate, and what you can do is you can break it down into increments, okay? Whether you want to pay by a certain time, or based on how many items that you have, or if you want to break down the billing into percentages, yes, you can do that as well. So in this case, right, when we go ahead and talk about progress invoicing, basically it's like taking a job and then thinking about the progress. How much have you completed? So for example, right, we're going to do an example where we have to enter an estimate first to gather the information before we can actually start doing the progress invoicing, okay? So this is another way that you can do, for example, construction sites, right? You normally, maybe you give a project to a construction site and you give them, I don't know, a year to build whatever you need to build, right? And because the way that, if it's taking over a year or a year to be able to build the building, right? That means, are you going to pay your the construction worker at the end of the year? No, you're probably going to make payments either every couple months, or you might give them monthly payments so they can, get the funds that they need to be able to work on the project, right? There's no way someone's going to do a construction job, sign a contract, and be expected to be paid at the end of the year. So that's what progress invoicing could be used for, as well, is a way to measure progress, right? I completed 75% of the work, so therefore I'm going to bill you. All right, I completed another 25% of the work, so I'm going to bill you. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the example here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click on estimates right here on the home page, and let's build my first estimate. All right, before I do that, let me show you, because you have to turn on progress invoicing in order for you to toggle this. So let me exit out of this. So again, we're going to visit that same preference again. If I go to edit preferences under jobs and estimates under the company profile, right? We talked about briefly over here, right? Right now, I have progress invoicing off. It's not on right now. So I actually have to click yes. Now, if you remember from the interview, right, that is also one of the questions it asks you. Does your company use estimates? The second one is, do you use progress invoicing? So if you said no, then you have to manually turn it back on through the preferences. But if you said yes through that interview, then that means you have this turned on, right? But this again, when you answer those questions through that interview, right, you can always change those answers throughout when you use your company, right? If you think you don't need it anymore, then you can always come back and make those changes through the edit preferences. So right here, I need to turn on progress invoicing to activate that dialog box. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. All right, and then I'm gonna click OK. So now I have progress invoicing turned on. So how do I go ahead and proceed forward? So now I can go ahead and build my estimate. All right. I'm going to build my estimate, and this is going to be for Anderson Wedding. Okay, so it's going to be a wedding photo shoot for, let's see, I think it's for Sarah and Michael Wilson. Let's see. Oh, wait, for progress invoicing, Anderson Wedding, Sarah and Michael. Yes, Sarah and Michael Wilson. Okay. And this couple, right, they belong to the San Jose location, and they too also want to take wedding photos on February 14th. Okay, for that the year 2025. So that means this is going to be probably the second invoice that you're going to have. Now, here is what's so cool about creating estimates is you can build as many estimates as you like for one particular customer. Okay, so let's say in their estimate, they wanted to test this out, saying, I want to know how much is it going to be if I had these items on here that I wanted, let's see, I wanted I wanted the, let's see, 20 hours of outdoor photo sessions, 20 photographers, and then 40 photo papers and 4 retouching. Okay, let's just say that's what they wanted. They wanted a lot because it's a wedding photo shoot. It's not meant to be done in one day, right? So then again, we wanted outdoor photo sessions. Okay, they wanted some photo paper, photographers. So they wanted photographers. Okay. They wanted some photo paper. And they wanted some retouching, right? Was it retouching that they wanted done? Let's see. Yes, and they wanted photo paper and 4 hours of retouching. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through those numbers again. So quantity, they wanted 20 hours of photo sessions for outdoors. They wanted 20 photographers. They wanted 40 photo paper packages, and they wanted a total of 4 hours of retouching. Okay, this could be one estimate that you could offer Anderson Wedding to Sarah and Michael. Okay, but then if they say no, that's too much for my price range. Let's go ahead and make changes. What happens if I only did 15 photographers, but I still wanted the 20 hours, right? You can create estimate after estimate after estimate. So this could be the first estimate, right? You could save this, right? And then create a second estimate with those adjustments. Because what if they say, no, 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 no. Go back to the other estimate. I want to see the comparison between the two. Okay? So that's the great thing about building estimates is, again, it's like quotes, right? You come to a place to get a quote, right? You want to get the best offer and the best options. So you can ask them to build what happens if I do this, what happens if I do that, and they can build you as many quotes as you like. All right? And of course, you get to choose one out of the options that you wanted. So in this case, right, when you do that, all you have to do is just make some kind of sequence number saying this is for this is for that, this is for that, right? The more you build as many estimates, right, the more you have to make sure that you keep in mind which one are you using, which one is going to be the selected one to be converted to an invoice, and so on and so forth. Okay, so again, that's just the only thing that you have to do there. But when you build your estimates, you can build as many estimates, and you can build invoices out of those estimates as many times as you like. All right, especially let's say when we complete the service that they wanted, right? And then fast forward, they say 1 year later they call you and say, hey, can you go ahead and do me that same exact service that you did last year? And then you can pull up that estimate and be able to create the invoice for another project. So that's the benefit of creating estimates and saving them, because they could be useful for you in the future. All right, but this one, they said they're fine with the 20 hours. They want the 20 photographers, and they want the 40 photo papers, and they want those 4 hours of retouching services. So once this looks good and it's been completed, okay, we have to also make sure that we, let's see, we need to mark up the photographers. We're going to mark them up 2/3%, so 66%. Okay, so they already are marked up 66%. However, the photo paper is still 3%. We got to change that. Okay, we got to change this to reflect 25%. Okay, there you go, 25% markup. So therefore, it's not $12, it's $15 per. So there you go. You got 66% markup for the photographers, and you got the 25% markup on the photo paper. Okay, so that's something that we had to remember to add. Okay, so once everything looks good, so we got the 20 outdoor photo sessions, 20 photographers, 40 papers, and 4 of those um, um, retouching, right? Thank you for your business, and then you can even go ahead and say that this could be a wedding photo shoot. Okay, they get charged at Santa Clara, and I can save and close. Remember, you can either save and close, or you can choose to save up here and then go ahead and create that estimate right away. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and save at the top. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and save at the top. Okay. The credit limit. Okay, that's fine. All right. So you saved it. So then now what happens if I want to go ahead and process this forward and make it into an invoice? Well, if I go ahead and go here and stay here and go straight to the invoices, I can do that. Now, once I do that, right, it's going to ask me this. How do you want to invoice them? So remember, we turned on progress invoicing, so it's going to ask us, are you going to, number 1, invoice for the whole entire estimate, or are you going to do it based on a percentage of completion of the estimate, or are you actually going to do it based on the items that you provided, that you're going to provide for services? In this case, I have those options to choose. Now, let's say I want to do percentage, okay? Let's say I want to complete this by 25%, okay? 25% of the job. And I can click OK. So what happens is it's going to take all those services and it's going to divide them by 4. All right? Meaning there's 5 hours of outdoor photo sessions. There's going to be 5 photographers, 10 of those photo papers, and 1 hour of retouching. So this is where, excuse me, where we can select a percentage of completion. Okay? And this is where I can say thank you, and then see how I wrote wedding photo shoot. I can say this is day 1 of the photo shoot. Because what if they said, I want this photo shoot to take place amongst 4 days? So that means every day of completion, which is 25% of what I'm asking, right? I want you to bill me for every day that you complete. Okay? So let's say this is day 1, right? And once you bill them, right, you have the invoice number right here. And I said, okay, I can go ahead and save and close. Okay? And let's say the next time around, I complete day 2, right? Let's say I go ahead and complete day 2. So I can go through invoice once again, type in Anderson Wedding. Okay, Anderson Wedding, Wilson, Sarah, and Michael. Here's the estimate, right? I can just double click on, or just click on that estimate and click OK. And I still get that same pop-up window saying, okay, how do you want to do it? Well, let's say I completed the other 25% of the job, okay? And I type in 25% once again. And I can go ahead and click OK. But this time, the only difference here is when I do this one, I have to change the date because let's say it's a day later, right? I'm on day 2 of the services. But let's say, well, one of my photographers called in sick. I can adjust that for them because only 4 photographers showed up. They called in sick last minute. We couldn't find somebody to drive all the way up to San Jose. So in this case, we have to have them pay for whatever we charge them. So in this case, it's not set in stone that they're going to get the 20 hours. They're not going to get the full 20 photographers or the 40 photo papers and the 4 hours of retouching, right? Things happen along the way. They might cancel on us. So then we might have to change the plans and say, okay, we're going to cancel. Maybe it's raining. All right. There's no way we can do an outdoor photo session if it's raining. Okay. So in this case, right, things can happen and you can make changes. So again, for this example, right, let's say this was day 2 and one of my photographers did not show up because they called in sick. So again, now I can make a note saying that this was for the wedding photo shoot for day 2. Okay. And of course, my invoice number has changed because again, when you assign a number, it will take the next sequence after it. So in this case, now everything looks good and I can save and close and I say, yes, they went beyond the limit. So then now, as I keep doing that, I can keep going and going and going until I complete the entire job. Now, once again, right, you still have that estimate saved there. All right. So if I go to Anderson Wedding, Wilson, Sarah, and Michael, you're going to have the estimate here. And so far, you already received 2 invoices already. Okay. One for day 1 of the wedding, one for day 2 of the wedding. And if they choose to continue, all right, then you can continue to keep progressing with that invoice. All right. So there you go. I completed 50% of the job. Now I have to complete the rest. So all I do is the same thing, rinse and repeat. Go into my invoices, or I can go directly through my estimate, click on what I need to do for my invoicing. Okay. So if I had to do it by percentage or just bill them for the whole thing, maybe I should just do all the jobs and wait till the very end to just give them one big huge bill. Yes, you can do that. All right, but in this case, they want me to bill them at the end of every day because they can't predict if tomorrow is a good day to go take an outdoor photo session. All right. So that's what you can do when it comes to invoicing, and then we call this progress invoicing. All right, any questions here? Yes.
So the two question is the when we do the progressive invoicing,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be 25% because a lot of places for like a wedding photo they say, okay, you need to make a deposit of 50% to book the date.
Okay, so this isn't a deposit. We'll talk about that further on in the chapter. This is just what they want. They want me to bill them at the end of every session.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not asking them to pay ahead.
We can, and we'll talk about that again a little further down in the chapter. We'll talk about customer deposits later on. But in this case, this is just us. We build an estimate, right? And
Yeah.
because the customer wants us to bill them based on completion per day, that's why we said, okay, what's your percentage? How many days are you going to have this? We're going to have this for 4 days. That means I want exactly every day to have the same amount of stuff. So that's why we have a grand total of 20 hours and so on and so forth, right, from an estimate. And I could say, I want you to bill me every single day when you complete the day. So in this case, that just happens to be 25% of what the services was. You're right. It doesn't have to be 25. It could be 10%. It could be 50%. Whatever the services is or are. So especially, let's bring it back to that construction, right? If you give a timeline to build a building for 1 whole year, right? And of course you need to pay these, or they might bill you, so you pay them, right? They might bill you monthly payments, right? And then your job is to do it, so that means that's 12 months, or that's 12 invoices. So in this case, whatever the project is, you can either choose to divide the entire project by 12, so whatever percentage of 12%, 12 to get the equal, right?
Yeah.
Then you would go from there. But you can also select the items too. Maybe the first month you want to get do all the materials, because usually when you finish building the building, what do you have to do? You have to do the electricity in the inside. You have to
Yeah.
make sure they have carpet on the inside, right? So it's like you can select items that they can be billed for as well. So again, it doesn't have to be 25%. It could be any percentage as long as they choose how they want to be billed. And in this case, this wedding couple right here wants to be billed at the end of every day, which so happens to be 25% of the job.
So, in other words, if we want them to specifically pay for the material, carpet, flooring, it's better to give them um, invoices based for that particular material or as a project,
Oh, yeah,
not just
absolutely.
50%.
Absolutely, because as let's say we are a construction, right? We're going to
Yeah,
have all that information already available, right? And then, we go to that client and said, "What kind of carpet do you want? You want this kind of carpet, the fluffy carpet, the flat carpet? What kind of color do you want?" So all of that is going to be depending on your company, right? What do you
yeah,
offer? So if they can come in and they can build an estimate saying, "I want you to build me a house. This is what I want. I want this hardwood flooring with this color and that paint job." Then that's where everything starts tallying up and adding up, and that's why the estimate, right, could be
yeah,
a project that could be ongoing and how they want to get billed. Obviously, no one's gonna buy all those supplies right then and there without getting paid or without being billed.
yeah,
So, usually that's typically why a progress invoicing would happen, because everything goes in a specific order too. You can't paint the house if you don't have a wall.
yeah,
So again, you can't put down hardwood floors if you don't even have a floor to begin with. So you have to start from square one. So again, things do go progressively, and that's how a project works, right? You got to start from square one. So this is also for project managements too, if they want to use an estimate to kind of see how progressive a project can be starting from square one. Then that's also how they can use progress invoicing to kind of keep track of their progress, but see what if they build an estimate, which is the entire project, right? They always for any kind of project management, they're always going to have some kind of budget. They're going to give a rough estimate. Obviously, with fair market value of things, right? Not every item is going to be exact price, because you may not buy it now, you might buy it 10 months later, right? It might have gone up in price. So again, the quote is just a rough estimate of entire project, and you can choose on how you want to complete it and how you want to be billed for it. So that's what the progress invoicing does.
thank you.
And you said you had a second question, or was that your second question?
You kind of answered the second question too, because instead of um, you were saying that instead of giving them percentage of the estimate, you said that you can actually select what.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the next example I'm going to show you is what happens if I want to just bill someone for this, and then the next time they can bill themselves for the other materials. Yes, you can. And we're going to take an example right now.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we did talk about selecting items, right? Well, how do I do that? Well, let's go ahead and check out the next example here in your book, where you can select items, okay? And you can choose to also use the estimates to make purchase orders, okay? So as you can see here, look at this arrow right here, right? You can actually bring it all the way up to a sales order, and that can all the way bring it up to doing a purchase order, okay? Make sure you are aware who is who. Are you doing the purchasing? Then you are going to be using a purchase order for your vendor. Is your customer doing the purchasing? Then they're using you as a purchase order. But if you're selling to that customer, that is a sales order, okay? Pretty straightforward.
Can you do that again? Because it didn't show on my computer what you were doing.
What do you mean? I'm still on the same page.
I know, but I didn't see where you point. Oh, there you are. Never mind.
Okay, so here you can see this estimate, right? If you go up, it turns into a sales order, and that can also eventually become a purchase order. But what I was doing there was explaining, make sure you know the difference between a purchase order and a sales order. They are essentially the same thing, but it depends on who is the purchaser and who is the seller. Okay? So in this case, if I'm buying something for a customer, I'm buying it using a purchase order. But if I'm selling something to that customer, that will be a sales order, right? It's straightforward, but a lot of people do confuse this because sales orders and purchase orders are the same. The only difference is what position are you in? Are you the customer or are you the buyer? Okay? So make sure you are aware of that. And then you can take your estimates to actually make custom orders for your customers if you want and to convert them into purchase orders. Now, here's the rule of thumb here. You can only do it if you have Premier or Enterprise. Pro does not allow you to do this. Okay? Now, for this book and for this class, you guys are getting the Premier version of the sample file. But you guys get the Premier Accountants version. So you get that option to be able to switch between the three different programs out there. Okay. So in this case, because the book teaches you, then you should be able to do it. Okay. But I'm just giving you a friendly reminder that Pro cannot do purchase orders from estimates. All right. So let's take a look at that example real quick. So if I go ahead and click on my estimates, and let's say Miss Maria Cruz decided to order something from us, right? So Maria, okay, there you go, Maria Cruz. Is it specific for the branch opening? It's up to you. Again, as long as you make a reference that it's for Maria Cruz, whether it's for her branch opening or not, her branch opening is just a job that's under her name. So it's up to you. You can do it whatever. I'm just going to do it as just regular Maria Cruz. All right. And let's see. So Maria Cruz wants to do it on the 19th of February. Okay. So 19th of February of 2025. Let's just keep the numbers the same, right? So that means this is going to be my estimate, my third estimate for 2025. And let's see, she belongs to the San Jose location. Okay, so San Jose. All right. And this is what she wants from me. She wants a premium photo package and 4 custom frames, okay? And she's going to get taxed at the Contra Costa because she is, okay? So in this case, so Maria Cruz, once again, is going to get 1 premium photo package and 4 custom frames. So there you go, premium photo package, okay? And she's going to order some custom frames, okay? Now, a custom frame is an item that we have to purchase, right? Since it's a custom order, that means it has to be tailored to her. So when you do this, right, you're going to get $0 because it depends on what she wants, what kind of wooding she wants on her frame, what's the size that she wants on her picture, right? She might want a 5x7. She might want a 12x7, right? She might want even a 27, like a really big portrait, okay? So custom framings is where it's one of those items that you can't even determine yourself because you don't know what the customer wants. It's customizable, meaning it's up to what the customer wants, and you're just going to have to calculate the cost through your vendor. Okay? So in this case, that's what she wants, some custom frames. So right now, it's 0, but I'm going to actually mark up those prices, okay, by 50%. So in this case, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark up those custom frames for 50%. So if I tap this, I can see, do I want it on a flat rate or do I want it to be based on a sales price or a percentage? So in this case, it's going to be 25%. Okay? 25% markup. I'm sorry, 50%, excuse me. I'm going to charge her 50%. Okay? Now, right now, it's 0 because, again, I don't know what those custom framings are. I don't know what she wants. I have to wait till we take the photos and have her pick out whatever custom framings that she wants. So in this case, that's something that we have to keep that 0. But once we figure it out, that's when we can go ahead and process that to go ahead and get the number later on, so then when we do process her invoice, right, that's where we can go ahead and change that number on there, because then we know exactly who how much it's going to cost me, and we're going to mark that price up by 50%. Okay, so again, right, thank you for your business. And what did she buy? She bought a premium photo package and 4 custom frames. Okay. All right, she's taxed at Contra Costa. So this is where I can go ahead and save. Okay, because I don't need to close it because I'm going to use this exact one for later. Now in this case, right now, that what I'm going to do here is I am now going to process, because one of these items is something that I can submit to my vendor, because where am I getting my custom frames? I'm going to get them by going through a vendor. So I'm going to go ahead and go right at the top right here. It says what can I do? I can go ahead and process a purchase order, because I need to order those custom frames, and they're going to be for Maria Cruz. Okay, so how do I do that? I'm going to go up here and select the purchase order. Okay, create purchase order right here. Once I click on that, you're going to get that same exact window. Are you going to be selecting all of them, or is it going to be the certain ones that you're going to pick? Now, you can't custom order a premium package. So in this case, I have to select the purchase order for the selected items. Okay? And it says drop shipping to customer. Yes. Okay. But that's only if they want it to be sent to their house. Now, most cases, right, you usually for this kind of items, you have them come to the store and pick it up. So you don't need to drop ship to the customer. So I click OK. So once I click OK, now it's going to ask me for which items am I going to be selecting that I need to create a custom order for. So in this case, where again, I told you premium photo packages aren't something that we sell as an item that we need to order from someone, right? That means we're going to use the custom frames for that one. So once I select that, who is right now, how many do I want? I need to do 4 of them. All right, well, we already have it 4. All right, and then do I have any on hand right now? No, but my vendor that I buy from is A Supply. So once I go ahead and select this and I click OK, it's going to automatically start creating the purchase order for me. All right, save me much more time and so much more, efforts to have to do it. And it even tagged that Maria Cruz is going to be responsible for these 4 custom frames. So again, this is your purchase order to the vendor, okay? So you get to say whatever you want to do, right? You can have your memo to say whatever it is, as long as you have this, right? That it's 4 custom frames, right? And it tells you that each custom frame, so you got to, so you talk to the vendor and they told you this is the quote, all right? They told you that when you ordered the custom frames, that the purchase order came out to be a total of, let's see, okay, it came out to a total of, let's see, let me see, create purchase order, select items. We're going to do custom framing order for this is something, okay, I guess I didn't put it in here. So go ahead and look in your book. I don't remember what the price is for those purchase orders. Okay, so purchase order, the price for them is going to be $90 per custom frame. Okay, $90 per custom frame. Okay, $90. Okay. So once that looks good, right, this is what they quoted to you. This isn't going to be the price you charge your customer. Make sure you remember that, right? You never, ever, ever sell to your customer at cost. You always sell to your customer cost with some kind of profit percentage, okay? Because you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to take advantage that they customer used you to buy something for them. Okay, so you want to take a little profit out of it. So in this case, that's what's going to happen. It's $90 per custom frame, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Okay. Okay, and then of course you have changed this the cost of it. Do you want to save it? No. Okay, because it's a custom frame, you don't want to save that number. Okay, but once again, I'm going to go ahead and save it. There you go. So now the estimate has gone through and the purchase order has also gone through. So let's see what else happened here. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to receive the items, okay? And we'll talk about this more in chapter 12. But what you do here is you get those, you receive the items. Okay, so you receive the bill, let's say from a supply, and here it says you have a purchase order. You want to say yes. So you select this and you click OK. And now you're going to get billed for having 4 custom frames for $90 each, right? And you're going to pass this bill along to Maria Cruz. And again, that's where I'm going to say OK. All right. So now I receive the item. So then now I have to go ahead. So once I've done that, right, that means I can go ahead and either go straight away to invoice Miss Maria Cruz for all the items that she chose. So in this case, Maria Cruz. Okay. Here you go, telling me I have an estimate. I'm going to click OK. So now it says right here, do you want to do for the entire thing? Yes, because I have the premium photo package, plus I also have right here the purchase order, right? I have the purchase order, okay? Okay, so the customer job you have selected, yes. And I'm going to, in this case, let's see. I can either bill her, I can choose to, or I don't have to. In this case, I'll show you what this is later on, okay? So in this case, I'm going to say exclude. Okay, we'll talk about billing later. But I have the items already. So in this case, right, it cost me $90. But I'm marking her up 50%, right? So what you could do here is you could take your you could do your quick math, 90 times 0.5%. Okay, tab. So that's going to be, okay, hold on. 90 times 1.5, right? You got to do 1 times it. to get you a total of $135 per frame. So therefore, I'm charging her $540 worth of picture frames for custom framing. Okay? So that's what you can do too. So you can kind of use multiple forms to get multiple things for you, and you can bill your customer how you like it. So remember, I'm going to mark her up 50%. So that's what I did. It cost me $90. So I'm going to mark her up 50%. So that means that tacked on another $45. So that means she's going to pay me $135 per frame. So that means I get a 50% profit out of every picture frame I sell. Okay? And I can save and close. So that's how you can use invoices to do progress invoicing. You can use it to select certain items and bill them. So again, that's what I just did. Okay? All right, any questions there? No questions?
No.
Okay. All right. So this is probably around the time where we're supposed to take a break, but because of whatever happened earlier, if you guys can push through for the next 20 minutes, I have one more last concept to show you. We go through the multiple choice, and then you guys can get to go free if you want to push through. It's up to you. You want to take a break now, like a 10-minute break, or do you want to push through?
Let's push through.
I can push through.
Okay. All right. So, okay, let's go ahead and continue on. So again, one last concept. So this is one of the most important concepts here in this chapter is what do I do when I want to charge my customers, or not charge my customers, but have them make a down payment. Have them have a customer deposit. Because look at these services. They can rack up to a lot of money. Okay? And when we get that much money per invoice, you want to charge them a customer deposit. You got to say, "Hey, if you want me to complete these services for you, I should see at least a down payment to either hold the venue or to basically reserve. Maybe I need to reserve these photographers advance so then they know, because they're my independent contractors. I need to find some kind of way to be able to say, hey, I need a customer deposit to show me that you're not going to back out of this deal last minute, and that you are serious about completing this project, or having me to help you complete this job." Okay? So that's what a customer deposit does. So if you ever seen many other companies, right, especially small businesses, for example, like a photocopy center, right? You go to their place and you ask them, "I want 2,000 flyers with my name on it, and I'm marketing. It's a marketing mix flyer, and I want all my information on there. So, can you do it for me?" Now, that kind of business, right? They're wasting ink. They're wasting paper. They're also making custom sizable paper. So that means they're going to be doing cutting. They're going to be doing a lot of labor. Now, especially because it has your name on it, right? Or whatever that you're trying to market, they don't want to feel responsible once they complete the project, right? And you don't end up picking it up. That's a waste of their time, waste of their equipment, waste of their supplies. So usually those kind of companies, they will say, "Okay, I can do this and I can give you a 24-hour turnover rate if you go ahead and give me a 50% deposit." Okay? And if you say yes, okay, and they tell you to, and if you choose not to pick it up the next day, right, then, I already gave you the deadline that you can pick it up in 24 hours. So if you choose not to pick it up, then you choose not to pick it up. But that means you pocket out 50%. They did not lose out 100% of the profits. They only lost 50%. So in this case, it is a way to secure an order by obligating the customer to make some kind of deposit. Now, again, this is very common for many different places, such as venues, right? If you're trying to hold a wedding, they're gonna ask you for the deposit for at least a couple $1,000, right? Or even 25% of what the venue it costs, right? Because they want to be able for you. If you could put the deposit down, they will save the date for you. Okay. Again, anything usually more bigger or more serious thing that requires you to schedule something will require some kind of customer deposit for you to secure either the location or secure the job that is being requested. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example here where we are going to record a customer deposit. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at the book right here to give you an example of who are we going to be looking at today. So, right, for this customer deposit, we have to create an account called for other liability, right? We usually refer this for customer deposits, right? This type of customer payment actually usually that money usually goes towards their bill. So what we claim this to be is that they are actually paying services in advance to you, even though you haven't completed the service itself. So we call this a liability. Now, there's many different names for this. You could use it customer deposit. You could use it as a liability because now the customer paid you already. That means you owe them service. So that's why we have to make sure that we need to create an account for that customer deposit and make sure it's a liability. Again, this in the accounting class, we usually refer this to as unearned revenue, right? Hence the word. You haven't earned it yet, so it's unearned revenue. It's money that you collected, but you haven't earned it yet because you haven't completed the job or you haven't sold the product to them yet. They just gave you money, so you owe them the service. So that's the first thing we gotta do is first, let's go ahead and check our books to see if we even have that account. Customer deposit. I believe we don't, but let's just check just in case. So no, we do not have customer deposit. Or actually, let me type that in. Customer. Let's see, we got advanced customer payment. So we already do have that account. Now, if for any reason that you don't have this already, then we can go ahead and take a look here. So right now, it's as a other current liability. Okay. Now the book tells you that you have to add it in there. But in this case, we already have it. It's called advanced customer payments. So they already set it up for us. But if for any reason you want to go through the book and set it up yourself, it's straightforward, right? I already taught you how to create an account in chapter 12. Okay, and we also took a look a couple times yesterday when we were creating accounts for the bad debt expense. Okay, so if you need a reference point for that, refer to the chapter 12 video on how to create an account. So in this case, they already saved it. So I just want to go ahead and check it out real quick, just so then I can view the information that they put in here. So in this case, they created the account and they named it Advanced Customer Payments. So again, it's monies received from customers but not yet earned, or deposits. So then here you go. They already created it for you. They already filled in the description for you. So this is what we need to keep in mind, that this is what we're having here. So now that we confirmed that there isn't an account that exists, I'm going to go ahead and save and close. So now, yes.
So it specifically says refundable. So if it's deposit that we are keeping whether there's times when they just keep the deposit and it's not refundable, it's a different account.
In this case, you don't claim. So this is very hard if you don't really understand, or if you've never been exposed to this. Right now, it's a liability. So right now, it's money that they gave you, right? Now, if you make it refundable, that means, let's say they cancel the project overall within the given amount of time limit, and you said, okay, I'm going to issue you back your refund. Then you're just gonna simply use your account for the checking account and just issue them a check back, and you're going to make it attached to this account right here.
Okay.
All right. Now, for most cases, usually customer deposits, depending, especially for flights, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a loss to the customer if they don't show up, or if they cancel too late. Sorry, we can't give you that money back. It's your deposit for you to save that spot. But if you don't call or cancel in time, right? Usually you get about a week advance before you can cancel, or a month in advance. Okay? If you can't do that, then unfortunately that money we're going to transfer into our records, right?
Yeah.
As if we earned that money.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an adjustment entry. Or we could just put it right through the invoice and said, well, even though the customer didn't do it, we still earn that money.
Okay.
Okay? So,
Thank you.
so right here, that's the account, advanced customer payment. So now the second thing we got to do is we need to create an item, because this has to be able to be usable on a actual on the actual sales form itself. So in this case, let's go ahead and take a look at items and services. So let's actually take a look. Do I have anything that looks remotely to a customer payment? Okay. Usually it's going to be like an other payment, or it could be an actual service. Okay. So in this case, I don't see anything that has to do with a customer payment. So now that means I have to create this item. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click new item. Okay. And this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be creating an item so that it reflects what it says here. So it's going to be a service item, because again, right? This is when a customer deposits money to you, it's a service that they just paid you. All right. What is this item going to be called? It's going to be either customer deposit, it could be customer down payment, whatever terminology that you decide to use, make sure it's clear for the customer to know what it means. Okay, so in this case, customer deposit is usually a nicer way than saying a down payment, right? All right, so customer deposit. So what does this do? All right, this is for when customers make a deposit for services that have not yet been completed. Okay. You could also say advance payments, whatever makes sense to you. So once everything that's there. Now, is there a rate? No, because we don't know what that customer is going to give us an advance payment for. So if you can't predict what it is, right? You can't just say it's going to be $10 maximum, $500 maximum. Maybe it's based on their quoted amount. Maybe it's based on the invoice amount. If it's $2,000, then I'm going to say you need to deposit at least $500, right? But if, let's say, they only owe you $500, then you're going to tell them, maybe you don't have to give me a deposit, right? It really depends on how much money they owe you at that point, right? Before you can determine what your customer deposit is. So they can choose, right? If it's a set written in the contract, then they just pay you what it's written in the contract. But if it's based on what they want to put in, then they can also be like, okay, well, how about I give you this much percentage down? Right? This isn't obviously a car dealership, right? It's not like you can haggle the down payment, right? The more you pay, the less that you owe. No, this is not the situation for this. But again, usually customer deposits is based on how much you owe. Okay? And it's not a set number. So in this case, it just depends on what the person knows. Now, is this taxable? In this case, this is a customer deposit. Of course, it's not going to be taxable. Okay? Because if the customer gives you $100, you're not going to tax them that $100 on their payment, right? So you just it's whatever it is, it's non-taxable. All right? And what account are you going to link this to? Advanced payment. So again, the thing about items is they make connections to accounts. So that's why it's important that you link it to this account saying this is for advanced customer payments. All right? And I'm going to click OK. So now I have that service item and I'm ready to go. Okay? So next thing it says right here, we're going to start creating a sales receipt. Okay? We're going to go ahead and create this for Miss Miranda's Corner, Walnut Creek for January 8th of 2025. So let's go ahead and process this. Now this is going to be when we are going to be using this sales receipt because right now she's making an advance payment. This is a means for us to collect the money. How do we collect the money? We're going to use a sales receipt. Okay? So so let's say Miss Miranda's Corner, right? You type that in. She belongs to Walnut Creek and she wants to have this done on January 8th of 2025. Sales order number, again, 2025/1. Okay, that's the first sales order. And let's say she paid you with a check. Okay, or maybe, let's see. Miranda's Corner, 2021. It has to be 2025/103 according to the book. And let's see, she made a customer deposit, Walnut Creek. So I guess it's either a check or she could do cash. Let's say she gave us cash. So the item here is she gave us a customer deposit. Okay, customer deposit. Okay, now how much did she give us? Let's see. She gave us a grand total. Let's see. Customer deposit quantity 1 for $800. Okay, so she got 1 for $800. Okay, excuse me. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna say she wrote a check to us, and let's say this is check 5432. Okay. So Miss Miranda Corner wrote us a check for a customer deposit for $800. So once everything looks good, right? Thank you for your business. Okay. And of course, what is this? And I'm going to say add advance payment for services. Okay? We don't know what the services are, but usually when you do this, right, you're going to obviously know exactly what she wants. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and save it because she just gave me a customer deposit. Now you can choose to either deposit it into your checking account, whatever you want to do. You don't have to do it because again, she gave you the check already. All right. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay. You could choose to deposit now. You could choose to deposit later, next month. It doesn't matter. Okay. That section is for another time. Now that she gave us that customer deposit, how do we apply it to an invoice? Well, that's straightforward. You need to create the invoice. So let's say we are creating the invoice for Miss Miranda's Corner. Okay? And again, she's from Walnut Creek. And let's say, so we're going to create the invoice. All right, invoice number 2025-103. Okay, so in this case, 2025-103. Okay, and she wants to have. Oh, never mind. It's already been created. My bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and go exit. So let's go search for that. So let's see, Miranda's Corner. So if you don't have it already, go ahead and put it in. But you should. This is what the book says. The book says it's already been created for us, and it's going to be that invoice for that 2025-103. So it's already right here. So we would have actually double entered it by accident. So in this case, we're going to double click on this invoice. Okay. Now again, an invoice can be edited at any given time, especially when your customer calls in and they decide to change their order, right? You can always reissue them an invoice at any given time. You can cancel an order any given time, right? So that's exactly what we're doing this time. So here's the invoice, right? They already created for us. So this is what they want. This is what Miranda wanted. So we have a whole bunch of things on here. Now, she owes me right now a total of $1,697.01. Now, how do I apply this customer deposit to the invoice? Straightforward. All I have to do is add in her customer deposit. Okay. Oop, I think I put custom frames. Okay. Okay. So customer deposits, right? She gave us one. Do it again. Customer deposit. Oh, cancel. Customer deposit. Okay. She gave us one, right? And because, so this is something that you have to keep in mind to see how much did she actually give us a customer deposit for. In this case, the rate is going to be -$600. So then that means that's going to take that customer deposit off of her invoice, right? So you have to manually edit this by adding it to the invoice for the customer deposit. So then now she owes me only $1,097.01. So that's how you apply a customer deposit. So then it's very common. So like again, when you do receive a bill or invoice, right? Usually it tells you what you owe at the very top, and then it says, okay, but you made a customer deposit, so that subtracted the money out. So this is your new grand total. All right. So that's how you enter in a customer deposit. Okay. And yes, you want to save the changes. So any questions in regards to how to put in a customer deposit? Nope. Okay. Very last section is going to be sales orders. Now, here's the funny part. The sales orders is basically going to tell you that is the same identical steps as if you were to do a purchase order. The only difference is, when do you use a sales order? You only use a sales order when it's a guaranteed sale. Okay? When a customer decides to call you and say, hey, I want to order this, that's a guaranteed sale. Not, hey, company, how much is it for this? So there's a difference, right? One of them is asking you to buy something, one of them is asking you what the price of it is. One's getting a quote, the other one's a guaranteed purchase. So in this case, that would be the only difference of when you choose to use a sales order versus a purchase order. When you know the customer wants to buy this product, you use a sales order. Okay? But when a customer is just looking for a quote and isn't sure they're going to buy it from you, then you use a purchase order. But they are identical. Okay, they're exactly the same. You fill it out just exactly like an invoice, except same thing here too. Even though it's not a guaranteed sale, right? It doesn't save it into your working your it doesn't affect your accounts because you have to convert the sales order into an invoice for it to affect your items. Because a customer can just call you and say, I want to purchase this, this, and this, right? And then they may not ever show up. Okay? And if they never show up, you can call them and say, hey, you can pick up this order right now. And then when they do pick it up, then you charge them for whatever items that they requested. But in this case, that's the idea here, is that a sales order is just a customer ordering stuff from you. But it's not guaranteed until you send it to them, and then if you have it like that where it's you do the drop to ship, right, and you send it out to them, then you are obligated to have to invoice them. Okay? So again, that's the only difference between a sales order and a purchase order, is one of them is a guaranteed sale and the other one isn't, but everything about sales orders and purchase orders are the same. They're identical. You could do progress invoicing for sales orders as well. Okay. All right, so that is actually it for chapter 13. All right, any questions? All right, so let's go ahead and go through the multiple choice questions. So your job is to select the best answers for each of the following. Okay, so number 1. Okay, estimates help you to
D.
D as in dog. Both A and B is correct. So let's take a look at that. It helps you track your future sales. That is true. B says it helps you track how your actual revenues and costs of compare to what was estimated. So yes. So we talked about how estimates, right? It's also a way for you to get connected to potential customers too, right? Because you collect all that information, right? You can use that as a means to way to market your business too, right? Even though it's not a guaranteed sale, that is leverage for you to say, hey, do you remember us? We were wondering if you were still interested in this. Oh, you found somebody else? Well, keep us in mind that we can also do other projects for you. Or you know what? Maybe we can create an estimate that could be lower for you. It's a means for you to get connected to your customer. And it does help you keep track of your actual revenues versus what you could have had. All right? Where letter C says it tracks and records the financial information. No, it does not record it. Okay? It only tracks it. Okay, so that's the crucial thing, is that it does not actually affect any accounts when you use estimates. Okay. Number 2, okay, creating a invoice from an estimate.
B.
B as in boy is correct, right? It eliminates the need to manually manually enter estimate details on the invoice. Yes, but that's all. But again, you have those two options, right? If you forget that you're gonna use the estimates to create the invoice, right? You can create the invoice and you type in the information, right? Just the person's name, and it will give you a pop-up message saying, "Hey, are you trying to invoice them for a already existing estimate?" Or, and then of course you could choose, you don't have to choose any of it, and then bill and invoice them for a separate one if they did go through an estimate. So again, you do have that choice too. You don't have to necessarily build your invoice from the estimate. You can do it without it, and then you can select the invoice, and it basically drops and copies all the information into that invoice. Okay. Number 3, which statement is false?
C.
Letter C is correct, right? Progress invoicing can create an invoice for either the estimated, whether it is no progress invoicing, so you can do the whole entire thing, but only after the estimate um, is closed. Okay. Yes, that is false because you don't necessarily have to close out an estimate, right? Estimates can always be open. And like I've mentioned before, right? You can always build your invoices on that same estimate over and over and over and over again. So in this case, that is not true, right? It's not like you have to um, create the invoice based on a closed out estimate. Okay, that estimate can always be there, and it can always be open or closed. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to create the invoice just because you closed out the estimate. No. So in case that letter C is correct, this is the false statement. Right. Number 4, okay, after a customer approves the estimate, you can create the following forms using QuickBooks Premier Accountant or Enterprise.
C.
C.
Letter C for number 4 is correct. Okay, both A and B. So yes, you could do purchase orders and sales orders. So we already mentioned this. I said that was the very first thing that you had to know was that only Premier Enterprise and Accountant could be able to do it. Pro cannot be able to create any purchase orders or any sales orders from an estimate. Number 5, okay, you should usually use the create purchase orders for selected items button when creating a purchase order from an estimate. Okay, because
D.
D.
number 5 is D. Okay, because it is rare that you will include all all service items on the purchase orders, uh, or acquire all of the items. Okay, from the estimate. Okay, so again, yeah, so that's why when we took an example, right? I mentioned this to you guys. You don't need to order a premium photo package. That is something that isn't something that we can order from a vendor, right? Because our premium photo packages is basically it includes both service and maybe a picture frame, right? So in that kind of case, it isn't necessary something that that you can order because again, not all the services that you do use on an estimate can be purchased. So that is letter D is correct. Okay. Number 6, okay, you can view estimates by. Oh, I didn't show you this, but this one's straightforward.
D as in dog.
D as in dog for number 6 is correct, right? All of the above. So, number 1 or letter A, in the customer center, yes. Yes, you could, at the very top, you click transactions. You can click on your estimates only. All right. B says on the estimates by job report. Yes, so you can run your reports on that too. Letter C says on the jobs estimates versus the actual summary. Yes. Okay. I didn't teach you about the reports either because, again, it's up to you. Are you in charge of these sales? Are you in charge of being the person that's going after potential sales? Then yes, you run those reports. So this had to be done through your reading. Okay, number 7. If you want to see a list of your estimates to all of your jobs, create what?
B.
B
Boy.
in boy is correct. You're going to click the estimates by job report. Okay. Number 8. Okay, which statement is true?
A.
A.
Letter A is correct. Okay, to track open and closed estimates. Okay, as they relate to to billings, use the job estimates versus actual summary report, so you can get all that information. Okay. Number 9. Okay, for the general ledger activity. Okay, sales orders closely resemble which other form in QuickBooks?
B as in boy.
B. Yeah.
Number 9, B as in boy, is correct. Estimates, yes. So sales orders and estimates are identical, right? We talked about this. Only difference is when do you use it? Okay. All right. I mean, invoices would have been a second answer if estimates wasn't there, just because, again, a sales order looks identical to an invoice, right? Because when you transfer the information over, it's going to be more or less the same information. The only difference is the title at the top says it's invoice. So again,
They look the same, but the question was for general ledger activity.
okay, yes, but
Invoices show up in general ledger.
that's true. So in this case, but what I'm trying to say is because it says choose the best answers. So that means you can't have more answers if there is a possibility. Choose the best answers. So I mean that's why I said that would be a second guess, second close coming guess. But in this case, that is correct. If you read it very carefully, this is asking for general ledger activity. So in this case, yes, an invoice would actually fluctuate your accounts while a sales order does not. But I'm just saying they do look very similar to each other. All right. Number 10, if you do not have enough stock on hand to fill out an order, okay, you can do what?
A.
A.
A is correct. Number 10, it says you can create a purchase order from a sales order using QuickBooks Premier Accountant or Enterprise. So that's also something I didn't mention. You had to do it for your reading, but a sales order, again, could be like a rain check order, right? Let's say you don't have enough items on stock. You can go ahead and submit a sales order for, let's say, a customer who wants to buy something, but you don't have it available on hand. So you can use it like a rain check, right? Saying, okay, well, when you come back, I already submit the order for you, so it should be, I should be having it in stock for you to come back to purchase it. So yes, you can use a sales order for that. Now, in most cases, if you are running low on inventory, we'll talk about that in chapter 8. There are preventative measures that you can do to flag you down when your inventory is low. So you don't have to necessarily send in a sales order to bring your stock back up to where it needs to be, right? You have other preventative measures to flag you down saying, hey, you're running low in inventory. Go ahead and order some more. So there's other ways around it as well. And we'll talk about that in chapter 8, excuse me. Number 11, last question of the day. If you wish, okay, to create multiple purchase orders, okay, from a single estimate,
D.
D.
D as in dog is correct. You could just select create the purchase order for the selected items button when you create the purchase orders using the in the sales transaction window, usually when you find that in the estimates. So again, estimates can always be used, even if a customer already completed the service with you and they want to come back a year later and say, I want the same exact thing. You could pull up that estimate and be able to produce the same exact thing. So if, for example, they need to do a purchase order, as long as you have that estimate still in your books, you never deleted it, then you can always produce a purchase order from that exact estimate as many times as you like. Right? All right, good job, everybody. So that is it for chapter 13. Again, any questions in regards to chapter 13?